Hanging Out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So on our Hanging Out feature this morning, we have award-winning businesswoman. Award business. This Lungu is out of the window now. We've got award-winning businesswoman and author Amanda Dambuza, who has, as I've been telling you, such an inspirational story, and I hope it's a story that can inspire you as well. But also, she's also a vibe. I mean, if you follow her on the socials, you will know how she likes dancing. She's so passionate about mentorship as well, but also creating platforms where just genuine conversations about upliftment can take place. Amanda Dambuza, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
I thought you were going to walk in here.
No, but you were doing news or something.
So you can't.
That's not fun.
There has to be music to it, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, and we've got lots of music we're gonna play today. So I want us to take it back to the beginning, right? Because you were in KZN and then you moved to the Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
Then you moved to Johannesburg.
Yes.
How did that happen?
I was born in KZN. I was born in Pangini. It's Kawini, actually.
It's a Kawini.
It's Kawini.
Yeah.
Yeah. To Isibongo sam originally ngumthetho. And but my mom and my dad went their separate ways when I was a baby. I didn't meet the gender expectation that my father had of a boy child. And well,
is that what he expected?
Rumor has it that I've never met him, so rumor has it he rejected me because I was a girl.
Oh no!
And there has been some minor confirmations of the rumor over the years. However, you know, if he's not here to tell me the story himself, so I remain. It remains a rumor. However, the impact was not a rumor. The impact I felt, but so when they went their separate ways, my mom then took us back to the Transkei where she had been raised, and she proceeded to leave us there and come to Joburg, like everyone, to dig for gold. So she was very young. My mother was 27 years old when she had me, and I'm the third.
And you're the third.
Yeah, I'm the last one. And I swear to you, I don't have last born syndrome. I don't know what that's like. I was never treated like one.
Really?
Yeah.
Are the first two boys or?
The first is my brother.
Okay.
And then my sister, then myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but life in the Transkei was rather harsh. You can imagine growing up without your parents. But we ran away when I was 13.
Who's we?
All of us, three of us.
Where
My
did you run
brother,
to?
my sister, and myself. We ran to Mshenguville in a shack where my mom used to live.
Why?
Well,
was it not was it their upbringing? Because you were with your grandparents now?
Well, my mother has a complicated history, but we were raised in. For purposes of this conversation, the matriarch in the homestead raised us, and aunts and uncles, and it was a big life. But again, it was we had roof over our head for sure. We had food in our tummies, but it was a very hard upbringing.
Yeah.
You know. But the thing about it, though, and I guess that's the irony of life, is rural upbringing is such a beautiful upbringing.
Absolutely.
I mean, we grew our own vegetables. We had our own fruit, meat from, so, but the other side of it was this constant abuse.
Yeah. So when you reflect then, I mean, that's quite a difficult, or let's say challenging upbringing.
Yeah.
Right? First the rejection that you have to deal with, and then being
The
abandonment, then being in an environment where you feel we have to run away.
Yeah.
And I wonder if sometimes you pause where you are now and you look back. I mean, you spent so many years in corporate. You went up the ladder. You were chief information officer at Barclays Africa at some point. Then you decided to leave that senior role to start your own company, which has been successful. Do you sometimes pause and think, how did I get here, given where I come from? Because a lot of people who have that kind of trajectory, their lives turned out differently, if you know what I mean.
I have been told, and I believe I'm also an outlier, and hence the endless hours I spend mentoring other young women, young men who've come through a similar trajectory in life, because the odds are against you, and having to deal with sexual abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, being beaten till you're purple as a young girl, and having being told you'll amount to nothing, being reminded how your father doesn't even want you, nobody wants you here, and your mother is nowhere to be seen, and so those things, unfortunately, as childhood trauma gets engraved in your DNA, and it becomes your identity, and the biggest part of healing is untangling yourself from that identity and kind of just redefining who you are. So yeah, do I stop and think, wow, look where I've come from? Yeah, absolutely. Because I think if you don't, you run the risk of thinking you are this magnificent human being who did this all by yourself.
On their own.
Yeah, but the reality is, yes, the hard work I had to do myself. Healing is a very personal process. It's a painful, long process. But along the way, I had people who believed in me and gave me a shot. I had people who saw something in me. I mean, even back at university when I couldn't even pay fees, my first encounter with a psychologist was when I went to register at Vets and there was no money. And I kept trying to tell them the story that, this is where I've come from. This is where I'm trying to go, or at least I'm trying to get an education so that doors can open for me and I can start building something.
Yeah. I'm so appreciative of especially successful people who take time to tell us about their story, because behind the success, there are many people who have really had it difficult.
Yeah.
And I think that helps in encouraging other people who may be going through the same thing to know that that doesn't determine your future. Even in the midst of those challenges, you can, wake up on the other side and even meet your goals. So is that why you decided to be intentional about sharing your story? Because you share it so well, even in your books. Is that it? Because you want people to know that don't just look at Amanda Dambuza today, the successful businesswoman. Know that there's a story, and hopefully it encourages someone else who's in the same shoes.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I remember I won the Verve Clicquot Businesswoman of the Year award in 2017. And at the time, I was not a public person. So nobody had very few people knew who I was. I was just keeping my head down. I built my professional career in corporate and started my business in 2013, left corporate 2014 to run it. So I was just keeping my head down and doing what I needed to do and build a life and build a family, build some kind of financial success, because, I mean, to me, that gives you options, right?
Yeah.
So when I won that award, it's a very prestigious award. It's a global award, and then the questions were, oh my gosh, who are you? Where have you but it wasn't where have you come from. It was, oh my gosh, well done. So clapping for the outcome, clapping for the award. The award was just a recognition of a long process, or rather an outcome of a long life and a long process. So I felt that, it was only fair that people understand the journey that has taken me to that point, which, by the way, was just one point in my life. I have multiple points. And that particular award gave a little bit more of a glimpse into Amanda and who I am. And it was important for me to tell the story so that we're not so fixated on the outcome, the achievement. Don't just clap for the award. I think rather clap for the journey, because once you have been on the journey, the awards, the recognition and all those things, they come anyway. It's not like a unique experience, but what is unique is how do you embrace the life, that the cards that you were dealt, that you often don't choose in life. How do you embrace that? How do you work with what you've got to build up to get to where you need to get to? So I tell my story for exactly that reason, to say it's easy to see success. I mean, you know this. These days, we can fake success. We can take a photo of someone's Porsche car key or Mercedes car key, particularly Mercedes.
Yeah.
And those are my people. And we post it on social media and act successful, a branded bag or first class seat. But for me, it was those things don't make the person.
Yeah.
It's the character that you've built along the way based on your circumstances that really matters. So I tell it for those reasons.
Yeah, and I've got some people sending us WhatsApps here who've read all of your books and they've been inspired. So if you have read Amanda's books, get in touch with us. Maybe you've worked with her, you followed her journey. 011-883-0702. That's the number to dial. You can send WhatsApps as well.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
22 minutes after 10 o'clock, we've got Amanda Dambuza on the Hanging Out feature this morning, an award-winning businesswoman, founding CEO of Uyandiswa. If you've worked with her, get in touch with us. You can send us WhatsApps as well on 0727021702. So part of doing this Hanging Out feature and getting to know people is also getting to know them through their favorite songs. And I was very pleasantly surprised, Amanda, to see that you are also a big fan of Zonke.
Yeah, no. Big time. Yeah.
She's actually going on
tour?
On tour. I don't know if you want to call it a Tamia is coming to South Africa, ne? And she's going to be performing at all of, I think, is it Tamia's concert. So she's the opening act. But I saw she posted that she's going to be performing on herself as well, on her own. On herself. On her own.
English is gone.
It's Thursday. So I think, those are some of the shows to catch. So tell me about little things you do. Why is it so special to you?
Oh, well, I mean, anything by Zonke is special to me. Anything by Zonke. I used to listen to Zonke all the time when I was growing up. When I say growing up, I grew up with Zonke.
Yeah,
She's like my age. She's possibly younger, but anyway. And then I loved her sister Lulu. May her soul continue to rest in peace. And she's just beautiful. She's like there are people who can sing. There are people who can move you with their music. So Zonke is that for me. And for years I've just had the biggest girl crush on her. And this song in particular is, in fact, my husband and I love this song, but then my brother-in-law, who's my husband's younger brother, also loves it. So he sent it to me some years ago, and he says, "Oh my gosh, this song! I think you guys are gonna love it." I'm like, it's already like on my playlist multiple times, and it actually just signifies, or it's a symbol of. Sometimes, even in relationships, you think the big things matter, but actually it's the little things that count.
It is. Yes,
that count more.
Yeah, little things you do.
I want
and other songs that were on Zonke's old recent album, because she was selling the album through USB stickers. And I was one of the big fans to go and like buy that sticker. And a lot of people were very resistant in the bill. It was like, USB stickers, how are we going to use this in our cars?
Yeah.
But yeah,
she's
I'm privileged.
She's legendary.
She is very legendary. But now you can find this album, I think, on all platforms, on all streaming platforms.
I still love CDs, by the way.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I got a CD player recently. They sell them. And I play CDs.
What's the difference?
Well, it's just the nostalgic thing,
Wow. Okay, Tseho, you calling us from Centurion. Good morning.
Good morning, Clem. Good morning, Sis Amanda.
Good morning.
Hey.
I'm very happy to have had the opportunity to make this call and just to touch base and say that I'm always in awe of Sis Amanda. She knows this. I've told her this before. And it's just because of how positive she's remained. I've read all her books, and you just see how the odds were always stacked against her. The odds were always stacked against her. But one thread that I feel like I see through her books and through her, like even to this day, it's just that resilience and that striving to remain positive, you know, like she's just always spreading a message of positivity. You'll go on her Instagram, she's dancing, she's having fun, she's having fun with her kids. She's just, doing her thing. And it's just so inspirational to see, especially because she went from being a corporate gladiator to being an entrepreneur. It's just, I absolutely am in awe. I was at the last Vastly Sage event in November, I think it was. And beautiful experience. That plant that you gave us at the end of that event is my little plant in my office, and it always reminds me, be positive, just be present, be positive, and just keep doing your thing.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for your call. Tsikho Khalai is calling us from Centurion. She's actually was Miss World in 2025.
She's so beautiful.
Okay? Wonderful person.
I adore her.
It's 10:31.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
25 minutes before 11 o'clock, Amanda Dambuza is on our Hanging Out feature this morning, and there are some wonderful messages that are coming through. Nosipo says, hey Clement and team, wow, my goodness, Amanda is one of the sweetest, down-to-earth persons I know. I'm so inspired by her, where she comes from and how she never at once made it bring her down and made a success of her life. I look up to her so much. One day I pray to God that he can bless me to attend one of her trips. May God abundantly bless you for balancing your career and still being there for the family. That's a message from Nosipo on the WhatsApp line. Speaking of the trips, like Tsikho was speaking about the Vastly Sage events. Tell us more about Vastly Sage, because you started with the women's events and then you came in with the gentlemen's brunch.
Yes.
What was the inspiration behind
you
that?
have hosted
Which I had
twice.
the pleasure of hosting twice.
The pleasure was all mine.
Yeah, and look, I've said this and I've even posted about how honored I was to be in the room full of men having conversations we had, because that never happens. It never happens. And that platform has allowed us as men to really talk about our issues in a way where there's no judgment. And there's just sympathy, and we're holding space for each other. But what inspired you to start that? Because you started with the women's one. What was the inspiration behind that?
So I already told you at the back of winning this award, then there was a lot of like, who's Amanda and how did you do it? And I started sharing my story. And I remember I started doing online mentorship then on Instagram back in 2019. And then I was like, it's easy to because the thing with Instagram lives, I mean, at the time, I don't know what they do now. It's just a one-way conversation. It's me talking to the people. Yes, they ask a question and I address that, but I felt that it was time I brought other people to the conversation, people that I thought had something to offer. So then I started the talk show, where I had many different guests whom I really wanted to bring forth and have the collective mentorship element to it, rather than just one perspective, which was mine. And I really believe there's strength in diverse thinking and diverse experiences. And that talk show, I did 3 seasons of it. It's on YouTube. It's free, Vastly Sage YouTube. I then was like, why don't we actually just take this off the screen and gather in person? And at the time, I called it Amanda and Friends, and it was supposed to be in April 2020 at Signature, but of course, we all know nothing happened then. And it was the first opportune time we could have it was November of 2020, when we were now allowed to go out as long as there was ventilation and things like that. And it was the most beautiful experience. We filled up Signature, and what dawned on me, I mean, it was a collective celebration of life, firstly, but I never would have anticipated that is how it was going to play out. I just wanted us to gather, have good food, good drinks, good conversations, share experiences. And that was the first one. And needless to say, the very next couple, I mean, we are on the 7th one this year.
But also you've got trips that you guys take as well.
Retreats, yeah. So over the years, I mean, the the November branch, let's call it the uplifting branch, which is the women's branch, grew from 180 people. At some point, I was hosting 550 people, then 480, because you're trying to find, you don't want to be too exclusionary, and people are always trying to get the tickets. They don't get them. Some for years they've been trying, they don't get them. And that's not because they're reserved for a select few. That's how much demand people, And so by the time I'm on the stage, a lot of people then come to me because my story is so relatable. A lot of people, unfortunately, have gone through the same experiences, particularly as black girls and black boys who are the product of apartheid and the migrant labor system, where you were not raised by your parents. And yes, there were wonderful stand-in parents. Some kids got wonderful upbringing. I just didn't. So at the back of that, so a lot of people then would come up to me and want to talk to me and want to share their stories. The biggest inside joke at Varsity Stage is Amanda never wear a white dress ever again.
What happened?
People just come and cry on my chest, and then it's mascara, it's makeup everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's what God has commanded. So, but I said, I can't be fully engaged and listen to someone's story, which they really need to tell me when I'm busy hosting 500 people on the stage. So I was like, let's find another space where we can do this. And I created the retreat. And we've got 2 retreats, one in September, which happens at Wilkerson's, which is a countryside retreat, Wilkerson's Hotel and Spa. And then we have a luxury beach retreat that happens every May. So we chase a little bit of the sun and we leave the country. So those 2. But how did the men's branch come about? For years, a whole lot of gentlemen were coming up to me and saying, Amanda, my gosh, the work you're doing with women on Varsity Stage is incredible. Can you please do something for men? So me, I was like, men must do for men what men want. I do not know what men want. My only perspective of a man is my husband. And there's no way that guy is going to say his life is difficult. You know what I mean? So when somebody says it's hard to be a man, I felt I was an imposter in the conversation because I didn't understand what does that mean. And because gentlemen don't actually tell you what that means. There isn't a lot of, I have very close friends, and I mean, also you and I have had this conversation around what is the difficulty with being a man. And I realized that, when they kept asking me to do it and I was pushing back, God just said to me, I keep asking you to do this, but you keep wanting to push it back. So one day I was just sitting at home and I found myself taking my phone. It was a week before my birthday, which is in February. On Tuesday, I took my phone and I booked a flight to Mauritius. And it was Tuesday, the flight was on Thursday. And I called my husband, I'm like, babe, I'm going to Mauritius by myself, okay? He's like, oh, okay, should we have fun? And then I was in Mauritius. I sat in the hotel room the whole day, didn't go anywhere. I was just like in silence. The next thing I picked up the phone and I called Desmond at Signature. I said, Des, the men's branch is happening, 20th June, 150 men. I just want to host in that space. That's how the first one happened. Of course, I mean, then it was a whole long process trying to speak to multiple different men to understand, what is the agenda. But I from that last one last year, I must say that was one of the most transformational experiences of my life.
We cried.
Oh, no. There wasn't a dry eye in the room.
Men in a room full of men, and men are just crying.
And big guys
and these
are
are
crying.
big men.
Big men are crying on my chest. And but it was so beautiful. And what dawned on me is that women have the spaces, multiples of spaces, in fact.
In fact, society encourages spaces.
Correct. And also, even if it's not a space, women have other women that they talk to. But unfortunately, society hasn't encouraged that for men. And so I've been dealing with exactly the same side of the same coin. I've been dealing with the one side, but there's still this other side, which is the men conversation. So I looked at it as this is the same coin, and it's 2 sides that need to be dealt, and you cannot neglect the other one. And I mean, I've been raising girls and boys. So for me, it's it was time.
Yeah.
We started having spaces where men can actually unpack and know that they are not alone in their challenges and their
And
struggles.
look, good on you for creating a platform like that. As I say, from someone who's attended both, I've seen the kind of impact that it has on these men. And it's interesting that their wives or partners, girlfriends also buy them tickets.
In fact, in the history of that men's brunch, I can tell you probably 2 guys bought themselves tickets. All of them, it's wives or corporate tables fill up the space.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they also get. I mean, this year you announced, and then boom, the tickets were sold out because clearly there are corporates out there or wives, girlfriends, men out there who see a need to get into that room.
Well, we're doing it again next year, so
great. Well, people better get ready because otherwise tickets get sold out. This year it sold out in how many days?
Well, listen, the men's brunch humbles me, okay? The women's brunch sells out within 20 minutes and like 500 odd. Men, it's a bit of like a week or 2. Yeah. So they humble me.
We normally take our time.
Yeah.
Anointed on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, hanging out feature with Amanda Dambuza. I worked with Amanda at All About projects many years ago, and I knew she was destined for greatness. We worked during a time when your bosses were no-go area, but she was there within the management team, yet she was within our age group. I'm proud of her. I'm proud of her starting her own firm, Uyandiswa, and I wish her well. That's a message there from Fikile. And then I see another one here from Nontogozo who says, hi, Clem and Amanda. Greetings from Accra in Ghana. Thank you for pouring into us, seeing us, and inspiring us to heal and be better people. I love you. May God bless you abundantly. That's a message there from Nontogozo. So I wanted us to just go back a little bit because you spoke about running away from the Eastern Cape. So now you arrive in Johannesburg with your siblings, and what happens there? Do things change for you in as far as upbringing is concerned?
No.
So you ran from something into something else.
Yeah, I ran. I guess when you're in, and I was a child. I was 13 years old. So to me, what mattered was we were going to my mother, and I was looking forward to being with my mother, and I wanted her to hug me and tell me everything was going to be okay. I just wanted my mother. But when we got to Mshengoville, we knocked on her shack. It was around 4 or 5 in the morning, and I was smuggled into Transvaal. It seems like yesterday, but there was a time when we were not moving freely in this country. And Transkei, you needed a passport to come into, the Transvaal area.
Jeez.
Exactly. So I was smuggled in a taxi. You see, under a seat, but next to the engine. It was so hot. And that trip from where we grew up to Joburg is about, I think it was 13 hours or so. And so we arrived, and my mother was, I remember, 40 years old. And it wasn't what I hoped it would be, because it wasn't long. Then my mother sent me to Lesotho, because her friend said Lesotho High was a great school, and she must send me there. But I had come from Transkei where everything was in isiXhosa. I didn't know Sesotho, so I wasn't sure what was happening. So again, there were just severe feelings of, it felt like everything that I had been told as a child was true, because instead of us running towards each other and embracing one another, I'm being shipped off again. So listen, my mother could only mother me from where she was and from what she herself was carrying. So I guess with time you grow a little bit of grace. It doesn't make it right, but you get to understand that, you may wish for certain things as a child. You may wish for a love that you're never going to have. But I went to Lesotho, and I wasn't accepted into the school, of course, because I didn't speak Sesotho. And I ended up in the mountains of Lesotho. They were staring over me, literally towering over me every day. I lived with an 83-year-old grandmother who was blind, couldn't speak a word of any other language except Sesotho. So I read Sesotho books, learned to speak Sesotho. That lady was the mother of the friend who told my mother she must send me to that school. She was a teacher there. So she knew that I wasn't going to be accepted. But I ended up babysitting her mother.
Oh, my goodness.
Her blind mother. In a little hut in Hatsusang.
How long did you stay there for?
Ah, gosh, it felt like a lifetime, but I don't think it was that long. It was a couple of weeks, a couple of months.
And then you came back.
Yeah, I remember I kept praying that, well, to be honest, I was just so, it was just such a, you're just zombing through life because this is it. I mean, this is your reality. So you're just kind of living through it. And I was 13, so it was a bit of a tricky time.
Yeah.
But I remember praying and thinking, I just wish like my mother comes to fetch me because I don't know what I'm doing here.
Sure.
And I swear to God, I thought I was hallucinating. So what used to happen, we used to catch the bus once a week to go into Maseru to get supplies, so vegetables and things. So I used to do
back
that.
to the mountains.
And then back to the mountains, yeah. And I heard my mother's voice, but I thought I'm just hallucinating. And and there she was. She came to fetch me, but that was it. We never spoke about that. There was never, well, honestly, conversation about any of the things that I've experienced as a child don't happen because, well, they don't happen. And I've tried, but I've had to then accept that, this journey is mine and mine alone. But, if I'm looking for answers, God is going to give me the answers.
Yeah.
And if we keep trying to find answers from the same places we got hurt, we just continuously get hurt.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an incredibly sad and destabilizing period in my life. But my entire life has always been destabilized. So this was not new. You could argue out of that I came out with another language.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
Kiabua.
Maybe that's the upside.
Hanging out with Clement.
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It's 6 minutes now before 11 o'clock. Before we wrap up our chat, I want us to play another song that is Amanda Dambuza's favorite. So what should we do? Should we do TKZ or DJ Kent?
TKZ.
TKZ. Any day, eh?
The soundtrack
Mambochi.
to my varsity life.
Here's Mambochi, TKZ.
Yes.
Ah man, TKZ, Mambochi. That's one of the songs you actually dance to on your Instagram many times, eh? That's what moves you.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've removed all those dancing videos now.
Why?
No, you already know I can dance. Oh.
No, but that was so cool to watch.
No. Everything has its season. I just believe that, yes, it was about joy. It was expressed. I was trying to change mindsets that say, if you're a mother, you sit on boards, you've got businesses, then you can't have fun.
Yes.
So I mean, that message I think has landed safely.
So we're not gonna see you dance again on the socials.
Entertain yourselves.
Wow. Amanda Dambuza, thank you so much for coming through, and thank you for sharing your story. As I said, it's so important for us to not stop at seeing the success, but look what's behind the success, because that's what encourages a lot of people out there who are in similar shoes to know that it's possible.
Yes,
to get over the hurdle.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope that this was useful and helpful and thank you for the kind messages. I think that's very sweet. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Let's walk the talk.